Well, I've been busy. The whole lower half of the hull is all ground out. Ran into a few issues where there were some really thin spots where they this is the very first layer. Underneath that is gel coat, where there was large air pockets right here in these grooves. This is where the stringers will be located, on top of these, and when they sprayed in the chopper glass, it just formed a lot of pockets. So I know for a fact that that would cause problems later when I tried to grind out as many as I could find. Unfortunately, yeah, guess what? This was very thin here. I went right through, right through. But since I know that I'm going to be glassing the whole bottom over to strengthen the hull, I'm not really too worried about it. But the back here is all ground out, and I'm ready to start epoxying in the transom, and then I could of course come do the stringers. One of the fun things that I've been doing is grinding. Yep, and this pile right here represents about a quarter of, I have a whole 40-gallon bag, in other words, of dusty stuff. But I used a saw blade attached to a 4-inch angle grinder, and it was kind of like a death hatchet. I'll kind of like this, and notice my fingers when you're holding onto it were very close to the blade. Well, the blade did its job really well on the power cord. Twice. So I went up to a larger one, and it's a 7-inch grinder, but I'm still using the 4-inch, actually 4.5-inch grinding pads, 36-inch grit, or 36 grit, and seems to do a real good job. Leaves a fairly good surface, flattens everything out, and I've used that to grind everything down. Today, I also tried a wire wheel for removing some of the softer stuff. I have some foam, things like that to rip out, and it's mildly effective. But it's hard because in these corners here, I really don't want a 90-degree angle. I want to keep this edge rounded until I can get some fiberglass in there, because by me walking on this, it's stressing the bottom quite a bit. So I still have the front to do yet, and as you can see, I've just been kind of storing any kind of chunks of poo up there. But slowly but surely, I've got this ground down. A lot of nails and screws I'm finding. I put a lot of screws through the bottom. Here, there was a cluster of them here. As I'm sanding, I'd find them, and they just all of a sudden spark like crazy. There's a whole cluster of them down in here that I've got to dig out to grind out. So the next step is, like I said, putting the transom in. I have to feather the back edge of this so that when I finish the whole thing off, everything will blend in, and then once I build this out 2 inches, I can start putting in my stringers, and then build the boxes back here for the battery boxes, fuel, live well, things of that nature. So that's so far so good. My little stand I made there for some of the tools. Pretty much the angle grinder is the only thing I used. One thing I thought was going to work really well was a high-speed router with a large Dremel, kind of good for taking wood out, but it just didn't work so well in the plastic nature of the epoxy and Sawzall and things like that. So still looking to sell some windsurf gear, so need that cash. Alright, okay, so ta-ta for now.